When I'm making a video, there's usually certain tech that associates with different steps throughout my entire creative process. And to be completely honest, it usually starts with a phone. I get an idea and I just jot it down in my notes app. And of course, I use a camera to record. And then maybe something like a laptop to edit the video. You get the idea. But I think I found something that is way cheaper than I could have ever imagined that I can use during each step in a different way throughout my entire creative process. And I'm talking about an iPad. In fact, it's this iPad right here. And it actually only costs about $125. And you might be a little skeptical on that number, and I kind of was too, but it is refurbished and it is a 7th generation. I think they're up to a 10th generation now. But what I got was actually really good. I didn't find any scuffs, there's no screen damage, and the battery seems fine. The way I've been using this iPad, I have not felt limited by it at all. So here are 5 ways that I use this iPad, and you can use it too to help you create better videos. And actually the last one on this list is actually just using it to help set up for this video. I remember a few years ago on YouTube, I think it might have been a Linus Tech Tips video, where he had a laptop and you could put portable monitors on each side, so it was like 3 total monitors. And as someone who does a lot of video editing, I actually really understand the appeal of that. That extra screen real estate is just incredibly useful. So there's a feature called Apple Sidecar. Pretty much what it is if you have a MacBook or a Mac Studio, Mac Mini, something like that, you can actually extend your display wirelessly onto an iPad. You just got to be signed into the same Apple ID, have Bluetooth on, and I believe you also have to be connected to the same Wi-Fi network. Pretty much things that you would already have done if you bought this iPad. And just like any other display you can buy, you can arrange exactly where it is, so it just becomes super seamless to drag tabs and whatever windows you want in between the 2 screens. And I know I said I do a lot of video editing, which obviously that feature will come in handy a lot, but I mean, honestly, I use this at every stage of creating a video. Pretty much whatever you can think of, whether it's like a notes app or a script. Assuming you're on a laptop, the screen size is already on the smaller end of things, so any extra screen real estate that you do get is incredibly helpful. And also, the iPad is touchscreen, and there's no Mac that is touchscreen. So if you do a lot in photo editing apps or anything where it would be helpful to have a touchscreen, that is definitely one way that this thing can be helpful for you. But the obvious downside here is if you don't use a Mac for your laptop or computer, you can't use this feature. And you can get a pretty decent USB-C monitor that you can plug into your laptop too. It will be significantly bigger, and I think you can get pretty good ones for under $100. Along with the iPad itself, if you can actually see the back of it, I did end up picking up a few accessories with it. I did want a case for it. I got this folio style one for under $10 on Amazon, and it's been perfectly fine. As you can see, it's standing nice and tall here. And I also got an adhesive sleeve that I could put on the back, which fits something in particular. Yes, I bought an Apple Pencil. It was $100 still, the 1st generation Apple Pencil, and I bought it for $70, open box. As you can see here, if I can carefully pull this out, this Apple Pencil is actually what drew me, no pun intended, to what this next point is. This will definitely come in handy in a later point in this video too. But this point that I want to make is note taking. I never really thought it made sense to write down your notes when even just the default touchscreen keyboard on an iPad seems to get the job done and seems to be even a little bit faster. But surprisingly, when I was just testing this out, because, I spent $100 on it, I want to make sure it works. Writing notes directly on something like even just the regular Apple Notes, it just felt so much more engaging. I mean, I know there's this saying that if you write something down, you're more likely to remember it and process it in your brain. So maybe writing it down just made me activate a part of my brain that I wasn't using before just by typing it. I don't know. But I will say for sure, there's just something special about writing something down and still keeping the ability to keep it digitally organized. But the fact is, you can do that without spending $70 on sale. Like I said, this was open box. This was the display model at my local Best Buy. I just dropped it. But yeah, probably a lot of people dropped it. This has everyone's grubby hands all over it. I cleaned it myself, but even though most of the notes I'm writing down are still just typed out, it's definitely been almost fun to have the feeling of actually writing something down. So although it's not the most important thing about helping me create videos, there's something else that is. Debatably, the most important thing of any video is the visual, the way it looks. About a year ago, I actually bought my first ever camera, the Sony a6500. But my friend and I went to a lake to just try to capture some nature. I was excited. I came back, I graded it, I cut it together to some music, and I sent it to my phone. It's easier to send to people or show someone because I bring my phone everywhere and I don't bring my MacBook everywhere. But when I opened it up, it looked way different. The colors weren't bad, but they looked a little off. It was at least a different image than what I was seeing on my MacBook screen. And everything definitely seemed a little bit more, desaturated on my phone, and the contrast was flat. But that's not a huge deal. I did have to go back and readjust the colors and export it again, and then it was looking fine. But all that is just really to say that you should be making videos to look good on the type of device you assume your general audience will be watching. That's why I checked it on a phone, because most people will be watching that video on a phone when I text it to them. And another device that people would be watching a lot of videos on, something like a few-year-old iPad. Again, if you are on Mac and you edited a video, you just airdrop it directly to your iPad and check the colors there. And again, if you are on Mac, you can use Apple Sidecar and just connect it directly onto it. And finally, you can simply just upload it unlisted or privated to YouTube. And as long as you're logged into the same YouTube account, you can view it on this device or any device for that matter. Video is very important. You want to make sure it looks good. A little bonus tip, you should treat audio the same exact way. I actually edit my videos with a $20 Apple EarPod wired earbuds. You want to make sure the audio sounds good in the type of way that the majority of the audience will be experiencing it in. Part of the process that I've actually started to love and realize how important it really is to visualizing a video before you ever record it is storyboarding. And that is actually the main reason why I bought the Apple Pencil, because I figured, Apple device, Apple Pencil, it's just gonna work very well. And out of all the things I could say about that little thing behind my iPad, it does work very well. It's perfect. So for me, having the ability to open up something like Notion, which I use to plan all my videos, and then something that I use is Sketchbook, my choice of app that I use to storyboard. It's free, can't beat that price. And really being able to move this around wherever you want, because MacBook is pretty portable, but an iPad, can't really beat that. I've been doing a little bit of it in my bed at night because I honestly find it kind of fun, almost relaxing. I used to storyboard some shots with a trackpad. I quickly stopped storyboarding because of how just obnoxiously annoying that is. There are some things that are just so much easier to draw out than they are to explain with words. And those are specifically the shots that I storyboard. I don't do every shot because most of them you can just explain like the iPad. I don't really have to draw that out. I feel like that's almost wasting time because I can already imagine what that's like. But if I did this just connected to my Mac, wouldn't it just be easier if all the files are already there? Not really. But since I have Notion all signed in on my iPad, like I said, all you have to do is export your sketches and then upload them right into Notion. Then you can get back to your computer and still look at how terrible of an artist you are. But you have a vision, and that's what matters. At least that's what I tell myself. And like I said, about having the visual of how something will look before you ever pick up a camera, you can actually end up solving a lot of problems that you realize throughout sketching it out. And you pretty much go through a similar process that you would when you actually set up the camera and you realize these things before you ever turn on your camera. No matter how much storyboarding you do, you still need to pick up a camera and click record. And again, back to that lake video that I was talking about, I thought I found the perfect my camera battery just died on me. That's something that I haven't had to really worry about with this iPad. Despite it being refurbished, I guess it might be a gamble if you get a good one or bad one, but mine has been pretty much perfect. It's good to know that any finger smudges on the screen are really my own. Anyways, back to that lake video that I was talking about, I thought I had the absolute perfect shot lineup. It was beautiful. The framing was actually perfect. There's this little branch in the middle. I'm like, oh, this is cool. And then a bird landed on it. I was like, this is the shot. And on my little tiny Sony a6500 screen, I thought I nailed it. I didn't. I missed the focus. It went from beauty to an amateur mistake, and I was very disappointed. And just to be clear, this next point probably wouldn't have been practical in that situation exactly, but one of my favorite things to use this iPad for, and I was doing it 30 minutes ago when I was setting up for this video, is to use it as a monitor. Now my main camera is actually a Sony FX3, so when I was setting up these lights and my camera battery wasn't the only thing to die, I have a little backlight there that is, it's gone. It's not with us anymore. But I was able just to carry this around wirelessly connected to my camera. Not only that, but it's on a much bigger screen. The best apps you can use is something like Monitor Plus. I think it's free for most things. And then if you want more like monitor features, it's like $18 one-time payment. And you can do this wired in or wireless.
I did find the wireless to be a little bit laggy, but I'm not sure if that's due to the iPad.
Obviously, it would never be exactly the same as like a real monitor meant for a camera, just as far as like features, color accuracy, things like that. But again, this is $125, and at the same time, it could do everything else I already talked about. Now, these are just the ways that I've personally used this iPad so far in about the month that I've had it, but that doesn't mean that these are the only ways that you can use it. I think this would be a great device for taking something like a Zoom call or some kind of conference call. And I think it would even be more incredible to look sophisticated walking into a coffee shop like you know more than you do. I promise that's not why I bought it, because if I did, I would take off the case and make sure you see the Apple logo so people know I'm an Apple fanboy. And a lot of these points all tie in together, but that is exactly the point. This is a device that can cover so many different areas for really any kind of creator. I have no issues with it, and the amount of convenience I already get from it is actually incredible. Thank you for watching, and I'm going to continue to be kind of documenting my creative lifestyle here on this channel. So if you want to be a part of that, feel free to subscribe.